Hello, welcome to the Game. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to some more TTS coverage live from, well, this room that I'm in. This faceless void. But you can't tell because of this lovely green screen. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. My co-hosts are just running a little bit late, so just me for the moment. But we have a very, very exciting game, games of Warhammer lined up. So we're at the TTS event, the Fat Middle. No jokes, please. Chat. Yeah, so we're at the Fat Middle event, and we've already seen one match happen this morning. We saw the Beast of Chaos Cockatrices versus, obviously, the glorious and wonderful Iron Jaws that we saw them play up against. And then it was a win for the Iron Jaws. So now we're in round 2. We've got a bunch of people. 9 people have won. There are 9 people in this bracket of first place victories. So we are now going into game 2, and we're going to be playing Places of Arcane Power. So let's just jump over to the table right now, and I'll show you what it is we are going to be dealing with here. So, as you guys can see, well, no, not as you can see, but just to let you know, we've got a Beast of Chaos army. Oh, that's wrong. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have that at all. What we have is a Slaves to Darkness army. It's a Knights of the Empty Throne list versus an Ossiarch Bone Reapers army in the Staliarch Lords. So there's lots to break down about these lists. If you go into the chat and you type !chat, you'll be able to see the lists yourself. Now, the Staliarch Lords list is pretty classic, but it's one of those fringe case lists, which is one of my favourite Ossiarch Bone Reaper lists. It's got Nagash in there, Lord Supreme of the Undead. There he is, Big Bone Daddy himself. 15 Death Riders as well. So, there's a lot to unpack about this list, and we will do as we go through the game. There's also a Liege Cavalos. There's 2 more units of 5 Death Riders, and there's an Umbral Spell Portal. And that's all you get. That's all you get in this list. Not tons. And we've got so much to talk about with this list. I'm very much looking forward to it. And the other list that we see in deploying right now is a Knights of the Empty Throne list. So that is 3x3 units of Varangard. And those Varangard are going to count as heroes and leaders. And that's going to be very important for the Places of Arcane Power. The red unit we see going down is the General. So the General's got the Inescapable Doom and the Grasping Plate, which is a 6-inch pile-in, and they're all keymarked Nurgle, and there's also a Chaos Sorcerer Lord as well. Then there is 2 units of 5 Chaos Knights, a unit of 40 Chaos Marauders, and a Chaos War Shrine. They're all in the Plague Touch Warband, so that's a 1-drop War Scroll Battalion for these guys. So a 1-drop War Scroll Battalion for the Nurgle Slaves to Darkness army, which is Knights of the Empty Throne. And they've got some very cool abilities. And Nagash has got some very cool abilities. Both armies are very mounted. It's only Nagash is kind of mounted, if we just imagine him on top of a horse. But it's kind of 2 cavalry armies that are very fast, that aren't staying very far away from each other. But, as you can see, it's all about these 3 objectives that you can see on the board. And it's all about getting heroes onto those objectives. And Nagash is a really powerful hero, be able to take one of those objectives very well. However, the Knights of the Varangard units are also strong, tough, 15 wounds, 3-up armor save heroes, who will also be able to go grab objectives as well. There's loads to break down about this game. It's going to be very, very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are as well. So I'm just going to pop offline for a moment, and we're just going to be getting my co-host into the chat. So you guys just take a moment, chat to each other in the chat, and then we'll be back very soon. Back in 1 moment. 1. Hello, welcome back to the game. I'm joined by Adam, my co-host. Adam, Mr. Chucklebutty, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, thank you. How are you doing?
Very, very excited because I want to jump straight to the game, if that's okay with you, and talk about this very exciting game of Warhammer that we've got going on. Oh boy, is it fun. So it's an Ossiarch's Bone Reapers army, as you can see deployed at the top there, and they are rocking up against a Slaves to Darkness, Knights of the Empty Throne army. And Adam, I think you're going to love both of these two armies. So the Ossiarch Bone Reapers army is effectively fully mounted. Nagash is up there. He's mounted on ghosts. That counts. Don't at me. I think that counts. Then there's 15 Kavalos Death Riders, which is a horrific unit. 3 wounds each, 4 up save. Very, very tough. Don't forget Nagash is going to be able to pick... he can pick 5 units, but there's only 3 units he can choose. He can return 3 wounds back to a unit. So basically, each one of the Death Rider units, there's 2 more units of 5. He's going to be able to put one of those back a turn, which is pretty amazing. Now, they're also in the sub-faction Staliarch Lords, which means they got run and charge. They've also got command ability for retreat and charge. Yeah? Very fast. It's super fun. It's
run and charge and retreat and charge.
It's very cool. Now, Nagash is very good with retreat and charge, especially when he gets off something called Protection of Nagash, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Now, the other army he's up against is a 1-drop War Scroll Battalion, so it's in a Plague-Touched Warband. So everything that you can see here in the Knights of the Empty Throne list is Nurgle. And that means any 6s to hit in melee are going to reflect a mortal wound back against the opponent. So anytime you hit them, you're going to take a mortal wound on a 6 to hit, which is super fun. It's super fun, especially when you build the army very tanky, which is what he's done. So there are 3 units of Varangard. More about those in a moment. They're actually heroes, which is super cool. Then there are 2 units of 5 knights. They're the battle line. And then there is 40 marauders, a war shrine, and a chaos sorcerer lord. Now that war shrine is so important to these Slaves to Darkness armies. They got prayers that give you reroll to hit, reroll to hit and reroll to wound out of a prayer. The chaos sorcerer lord does the same. He's got a spell, reroll to hit and reroll to wound. Although chances are he's probably not getting that spell off against the popper of magic. This fella right here.
Yeah.
Unlikely he's getting that off. But he's also got Ocular Visions, which is the ability to reroll saves. And that reroll saves ability is actually really, really important, especially in the Plague-Touched Warband, because if you want your opponent to be hitting you, you want them to hit you, hurt themselves, and you just want it so you're very survivable, which is very, very good for the Varangard units. Now, in the Knights of the Empty Throne list, let me just set it up so you guys can get the lists in the chat. Here you go, everyone. In the Knights of the Empty Throne list, which you guys are looking at, because, as stated in the name, Adam, Knights of the Empty Throne, the throne's empty. Archaon's missing. Yeah?
Oh, mate, I know where he is.
Where is he?
I know loads of people that have got him. Do you want me to give him a call?
Yeah, please, because they need it in this army. So, the 2 units of Varangard, which you see here, they are now heroes in this sub-faction. So they get the hero keyword, which means you end up with a probably the tankiest hero you can build in Age of Sigmar. 15 wounds with a 3-up armor save base. Yeah, they're really good. They've got a once per battle ability where they can pile in and attack twice, which is amazing. And in the Knights of the Empty Throne, you have two awesome command abilities you get access to. The first one is, if a unit of Varangard dies, roll a dice, on a 5-up, get a unit of Varangard back. Okay? And then, the other one they've got is a super cool one, where you pick a unit, and then you roll a dice for each model in that unit, and then you reduce down, and then for every 3+, you reduce down how much they hold that objective by. However, the first turn given away by Slaves to Darkness in a 1-touch, run by Alan, by the way, a very, very competent gamer, very, very competent. He is given away the first turn on this battle plan, which is Places of Arcane Power, and it's all about getting on those objectives. It's about putting those heroes on those objectives. So Nagash pretty indestructible hero on an objective versus three units of 3 Vanguard who also want to get on an objective. So there's lots. What do you think about any of that, ads? Happy? Not happy?
Oh, yeah, no, this is. I'm excited about this. Really excited about this. So just remind me then. So,
Yep.
Place of Arcane Power is this the one where only heroes and or wizards can hold, or with relics? Am I remembering that right?
That is what it used to be. It's now just heroes. Really simple.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah?
Great.
You don't have to mess about. It's as simple as that.
And his Vanguard, the Vanguard that have been turned into essentially heroes, they'll count towards it, right?
They will.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it's really, 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 really good. So they're strong on here, but they also are suffering massively. So as you can see, he's done the spell portal. First thing he's put down, and he's dropped a spell portal there. And I would say he's gonna try and pick out. You see these Chaos Knights? They're lined out. So if he can Hand of Dust off one of those Chaos Knights, he can break coherency. And if he breaks coherency, then half that unit has to just go away.
Yeah.
Another good option would be this central Vanguard you can see in this blue unit here in the center bottom left. If you could pick that out, then the other 2 Vanguard would be out of coherency.
Right. So Hand of did you
Dust.
say Hand of Dust? Hand of Dust, he can pick an individual model rather than just a unit, right?
So it is absolutely like a model and not a unit. So it's a model and not a unit. We did research this because, interestingly, Archaon can put a whole unit of Vanguard in the sword, yeah, because they're a leader. So if you roll well on Archaon sword, he can put the whole unit in. But Nagash, because he's not quite as chaos and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, he's only going to be able to put one model in. However, there is an artifact that you can take in Knights of the Empty Throne, which allows you 1 auto unbind, and he has just used that on Hand of Dust. So Hand of Dust has not been cast because it was auto unbound. Pretty important. Pretty important.
Yeah.
So loads going on there. It's a super cool army. Both of these 2 armies, by the way, Adam, are in my like cool tier armies. They're like, if like I've said this before, if I had a couple £100 in my back pocket, this list, this OCRX list would be in my basket quicker than you could say like go. And the Vanguard list is already in my basket. I already own this list. I think it's amazing. There's so many cool bits. Okay, so then the other thing to talk about here is some of the prevalent threats for the 2 armies. This Death Rider unit is very good. They are going to do a lot of attacks. They've got a wedge command ability, which allows you to do mortal wounds when you charge, which isn't too bad. It's on 5s. It's not really what they're there for, but what they're so good at, Adam, is when they charge, or not even when they charge, is when they use their lances, and they're so cool. Yeah, they can do so much. I'm pretty certain they're all armed with lances. Let me check the list. I don't think he's equipped them with blades. Blades would be the wrong thing. It's actually probably better to do it with blades, but I prefer lances because they're cooler. And if you have a cavalry unit without lances, are you really trying?
Well, yeah, exactly. If you're riding a horse with a sword, it's a bit boring. If you're riding it with a lance, you are winning at life.
You are winning at life. Unfortunately, no, he hasn't. He's taken the Netherite blades, which is a bit of a shame.
He's not doing it right. I mean, he's fighting an uphill battle now. If he hasn't got lances,
but actually, arguably, going into this heavy armored Slaves to Darkness army, he ends up in a much better place because the spears don't have rend. However, the blades do. So that rend is going to be very important to be able to chop through some of these units. But he's got it's fascinating because Slaves to Darkness have got 45 wounds in heroes on a 3-up armor save. 45. Whereas the Liege Cavalos at the back of the board here, he's only got 7 wounds. However, Nagash can heal him 3 a turn, which is quite important. Now, have you heard about...
Can he do that from anywhere?
So it's within a certain range, and it's a great question what the range is. Let's go find out. I actually would like to know as much as anyone. So Let's go find out for you, Adam. I'm so sorry, I don't know off the top of my head.
No, it's fine. So in terms of heroes, we're looking at for the OBR, we're looking at Nagash and Leech Kavalos. Is there another one hiding?
No. It's just Nagash and
just
Leech
those
Kavalos.
two.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's very expensive. However, it's board wide. If that helps you out, it's board wide.
Wow. Okay.
Really good.
Really
good. So Xantos is on a 3-up armor save as well. So sorry, not Xantos. Sorry, the Leech Kavalos. So he's pretty tanky. And he's not too bad in the fight, and he should get flanked quite nicely. There's no range damage here, but there is the classic threat of the Marauders, Adam. Now the Marauders are wild. Yeah, so
best unit of the game, aren't they?
Well, they're the most likely to charge. There is a 3% chance they'll ever fail a charge from any. Colonel Cabbage is in the chat. He loves it. Oh, they aren't leaders. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Stephen AOS. So actually, Adam, what I've been saying before has been absolute rubbish. So the Knights of the Empty Throne ability grants them only the leader keyword. Grants them the hero keyword, but not the leader keyword. So they won't be able to score objectives at all. So actually, this is already probably finished as a game. I've just realised.
So what has he got that is a hero then?
He has a Chaos Sorcerer Lord.
Sorcerer
No,
Lord.
so it's a leader battlefield role. Battlefield role. So he has a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and that's it.
Wow.
That's the only leader in his army.
I mean, it's only half the amount that the other guys the other guys got. So, just saying.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so it's Alan who's playing with those. I'm just gonna double check some of this stuff now. Hey, and I'm just gonna message. Yeah, Stephen, good point. I will just inform the TO before I inform the players. I won't inform the players. Oh, does he give both? I thought he gave both. I thought he gives you leader and hero. Let's leave it as a minute. Let's leave it at the minute. I thought he gave both because I played this list. But you guys in the chat fight it out. And then if you guys have got some stuff to quote at me. But let me talk about Marauders, Adam. Yeah?
Yes, please.
So Marauders, crazy amount of attacks. +1 to hit and +1 rend if they've got enough dudes in their arm in their unit. Now, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, normally, traditional slave start on this list, they'll have a block of 40 or even 20. Then they'll just teleport them anywhere. And they can pretty much guarantee... guarantee a charge, effectively.
So how do they do that? What allows the teleport? Cool, but what allows them to almost guarantee a charge then?
So they have a War Scroll ability. So the War Scroll ability allows them to turn the lowest dice into a 6, which means they always charge 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, which is super fun. This is Cabbage's favorite ability, by the way. However, where it gets really, really fun is they have a drummer, yeah, and he adds 1 to the run and charge rolls, so they actually always roll an 8. Yeah.
So they can only fail on 2 1s.
Yes. Yeah,
a
double
only
1.
way. That's not happening, is it?
Only way they can fail those teleporting charges, so that's quite fun. Ultimately. Now, they're all Keymark Nurgle, and they're in the Plague Touch Warband, as previously discussed. Oh, nice. In the room. So they're Keymark Nurgle, which means any 6s to hit the enemy is going to hurt them. Basically, they're going to take damage back in the Plague Touch Warband. And also any 6s to wound from the heroes are going to do +1 damage. So those Varangard, they give themselves an aura. It's quite fun, the Slaves to Darkness book, because there's a lot of like overlapping buffs. When you give them a keyword, they gain some buffs. And then when you do something like Knights of the Empty Throne, you end up getting a bunch of extra buffs just cuz.
Okay.
But yeah, they're just really good. Oh, nice. Okay, big love to the chat. We've resolved the issue. The Varangard are also leaders and heroes. Sweet taters.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
so, but honestly, there's a whole bunch of guys in the chat who I trust and love, especially Stephen, and I wouldn't doubt him for a moment. So, thanks for resolving that Twitch chat. You guys roll my world.
The one thing I have a question with the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. I'm a little worried because their lifeguard stand seems to be empty. I don't know if that's going to affect them later on. There's a big lifeguard chair in the back left-hand corner there. It's empty. There's nobody watching over him. Maybe that's Nagash's throne. Maybe he's now empty that, and I'm just worried he's going to leave that open for somebody else. But
in the top right. Well, I think so. He only has to. The way this scenario works, it's not the best battle plan in the world. You really only ever have to own 2. So what he's done is he's put like the meat of his army in the center, and he's like, because you have to take 2, right?
Yes, of course.
So he's put the meat of his army in the center, and he's like, cool, you have to take this, which means you've got to punch through this 45 wounds. Yeah, 45 wounds of Death Riders, and I'll be healing 3 a turn. Yeah, and also Nagash, who's also terrifying. Now, there's some pretty good units there. You can fight and attack twice with the Varangard. The Marauders, they could potentially get in there and mess it up. But we are about to see a charge. Look how fast that army is going in. And we find out if Protection of Nagash went on Nagash as well, because, it didn't. Okay. So yeah, like there's a lot of guys that could potentially take out this central point, Adam. But I don't think really, because of the army list, the OCR list has any other options on this battle plan. The thing about this battle plan is it really ties you to you're going to do a thing. You're going to stand there with some heroes. Everything else is really ancillary and isn't really part of the conversation. And Alan, who gave away the turn for the Slaves to Darkness, he knew that was the plan, because he knew what the play was going to come in here. He knew Nagash was going to come into the center because he gave him the turn. He's like, cool, you do that. So now he's just looking for a counter charge, really. But as you can see, this Chaos Knight screen,
doesn't he?
Yeah, this Chaos Knight screen is looking to charge in. Now, this unit of red Varangard you can see here, actually really, really important. They're the general. They've got a very cool artifact called the Grasping Plate. So if you imagine, like, they're covered in armor, covered in demon arms, and they're like, I'm going to rip your head off. So they allow you to pile in from 6 inches as opposed to from 3 inches.
Okay.
And it's the good pile in, as we call it, not the bad pile in. So you can be. So there's a bad pile in where you can pile in 6 inches, but you still have to be within 3. Or there's the great pile in where you can pile in from 6 inches away, basically. And so they've got that. So the Varangard are going to be able to They're going to be able to pile in afterwards if the Chaos Knight unit dies. So they'll be able to pile in, and they'll start to, in the Osiarch's turn, start to do some damage into the Death Riders. However, they don't. Oh, okay. So the Death Wedge ability that we talked about before, which is the command ability that you find on. So it's interesting. Osiarchs have all of their. They have all of their command abilities. Not all of their command abilities, but most of their command abilities are on the units. So in this, the Death Riders have got their own special command ability, which allows them to do mortal wounds on 5s when they charge. And they don't use CP, they use Relentless Discipline points to do it. And so, they've just done that into this unit of Varangard at the top. And they've done 5 mortal wounds. So Varangard has died. Yeah,
one dead, one on
really
a wound.
Especially when you can retreat and charge.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we get to pile in for a return pile in for these Chaos Knights, which maybe by the time we get there they'll have been battered enough they won't matter, but in order to get these Varangard, the general Varangard at the back, to get them in, you're only going to have lost a couple for that 6 inches to actually be a thing. Right? It's
very conceivable that the Marauders, between the Marauders, the 2 units of Varangard here, and maybe even the Varangard at the top, that he could lose the whole Death Rider unit in one go. However, he doesn't care about that because he wants to push. What he really wants to do is just keep them off these, keep them off the objectives for as long as possible. Like, that's the mission. You also can't claim the objective by retreating onto the objective as well. So I think he's going to be looking to pin these units in as quickly as possible. Nagash is also now in 18-inch range. So Machine Gun Nagash, as he's been known. So in the OC Bone Reaper book update, Nagash got a War Scroll update, and he's able to do as many arcane bolts as he can cast spells. And when he's unwounded, he can cast, I think it's 8 to 9 spells. It might be 8 spells. And so if he wants to, he can just go wild with doing arcane bolts and targeting the unit. And so he might be able to punch through one of those units of Varangard. So it's very dicey, the whole game. There's loads to play for. But before that, we have to just resolve this big old combat. There's a lot of attacks coming in as well from these Death Riders. There's the horses, there's the Death Riders themselves. It's quite a lot. Yeah.
So how do you think we're going to see the Slave to Darkness split up here? Do we think they're going to go for the currently empty objective? Are they going to make sure they secure that when it comes to their turn? Maybe take some Marauders over there? Or are they going to fight out this battle in the middle and try and dominate the whole thing?
Well, so because of the retreat and charge, because of the retreat and charge, you could potentially get pinned in again by the same big brick. So and then look at that. They did 5 mortal wounds on the charge, so you might want to try and shut that down as quickly as possible. Me personally, I'd be tempted to punch out that unit in the middle of Death Riders. The Marauders are going to do a ton of attacks. And what's nice is, but there's so many risks about to happen here. Normally, you'd have the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, he'd do demonic power, and you'd feel like a monster. You'd be like, these Marauders are smashing, but probably not going to get that spell off because of Big Papa Nagash. So then you're relying on a prayer from the War Shrine, and you're like, okay, prayer from the War Shrine. You need to do the work for me. But then that's unreliable. That's a 3-up, so that might not work. And then the Knights of the Empty Throne guys, the Varangard, they've got some good damage, but again, they like rerolls to hit, they like rerolls to wound. Who doesn't? They all want those buffs, and they're all going to be in the fight right now. But the Varangard can also pile in and attack twice, once per battle. So if he wanted to, he could take the unit. He could effectively attack with the blue unit and the red unit and the unit at the top twice in a single turn.
Oh wow! Okay, so each unit can do it twice, compile in an additional time
once per game.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but then
you might see him.
Yeah, you might see them go down right now, which is quite interesting. So we just did lose. So we lost. So far, we lost 2 knights, 3 knights, 2 knights to the Death Riders, so 2 Chaos Knights died. However, a Death Rider died back because these are plague-fueled Chaos Knights. They're covered in gross, plate, and every time you stab them, it spews out some noxious stuff in your eyes. Not that I think the OC Bone Reapers have eyes, so that's a challenge. So yeah, we've basically lost a Kavalos Death Rider to the charge as well, to basically hitting those guys. And they might take even more mortal wounds in a moment, when the horses attack. So it's quite interesting. I've seen some people building this where they've taken 15 or 20 Chaos Warriors, and the whole mission is that you just attack the Chaos Warriors and you just die from hitting them.
So tell me here. So these Chaos Knights that we've got here, were they one long unit or are they 2 separate units?
Pardon me?
The Chaos Knights that we're seeing here in the middle.
Yeah.
That we've had 3 die so far. Were they is that just one unit, or were they 2 units that just were stacked up next to each other?
There were 2 units stacked up to each other.
There were 2. Okay. I did wonder about the removing of them. I wondered if he was trying to get the Varangard in there.
Well, they're going to be able to pile in now, but the unit of Varangard at the top, they have piled in now, and they're activating. So it's all of the OCRX plays. They've lost a Death Rider to this, and so far they've taken out 3 Chaos Knights. They've taken out 3 Chaos Knights and a Varangard. That's as good as they've done so far. So it's interesting to see how this is going to follow up, and what damage can be done. So quite interesting. And also, if they roll well, that's the important part. Those 6s to hit on, 6s to wound from Nurgle is really, really important. because you're going to be able to get damage too. But these guys have got a 4-up save.
Oh.
There's a lot of them. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be whether or not that unit in the centre can hold ultimately. And then even if Nagash can hold, because Nagash is going to be looking to kill the Varangard units, it's basically a race to the finish for who can kill the heroes first. And right now, Nagash is unwounded, and no one's even threatening the Leech Cavalos. He's like sat there, like chuckling to himself. He's like, no one can hurt me. Like,
but there's a big blob of Marauders here that can teleport, right? Have we got?
Yeah.
Do we know if there's
Yeah.
space at the back there?
Oh, there's definitely space here for the. Oh wow! So the Varangard unit at the top here that lost one, they've already killed 2 Death Riders. So they've done 10 wounds already, and we've still got another unit of Varangard to activate, and then another unit that could charge next turn, and they can all activate again, potentially. So it's like that. It's like that scene in the Battle of the Bastards where all the cavalry are just hitting each other, and no one knows what's going on.
No one's got a clue what's actually happening.
It's just a big melee.
Is it so? Coming into this battle, was there a favourite between these lists, or was it just going to be whoever hits hardest?
Sorry, one more time.
Who's the favourite coming into this? Who was looking like they were going to take it before we even started the game?
I honestly don't know. Like, I mean, interestingly, they've both got very strong character models. Very strong. And some of that might have been what led to some of these armies being built this way. Knights of the Empty Throne, though, are very popular at the moment. There's 2 versions of this Slave Starters list at this event. Like, they're already a thing. This is the Staliart Lords list is more of like a unique. It's more of a unique army list. It's more like up my street. Like, really into it. I think it's super fun and janky and weird, and looks super cool. So I don't know if there's necessarily a favourite. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Someone moved the board, and it wasn't even me.
Thank goodness. I was worried it was me for a moment. I think we just reset a bit. That was all. There you go.
Is it maybe the board should be locked?
Yes, potentially. The score is not correct. Or it might be correct. I'll change the score in a moment, Joe, if that's okay. My favourite bit of TTS is when you were talking about this the other day, Adam. We had you on the show, and you were asking about games happening on TTS. It looks pretty good, right? Like, doesn't look too bad.
It looks great. Yeah, no, I have played a few games myself. It was, I think it was right at the start of lockdown, and the availability of models, the availability of battle plans, that sort of thing was actually quite sparse. And I've looked since, and whoa, there's a lot available now. There is so much going on, and it's great. It's a nice way of people being able to still play the game, right? Like, this is a proper tournament game that's happening, across the pond.
Yeah, absolutely.
Across the pond.
They're happening from so in the chat, if you guys want to see the list, by the way, ! Lists, you can see that Nicholas, who's playing the OCR Bone Reapers, he's actually right now he's in Spain, playing from Spain from his lounge.
Nice.
Playing against Alan, who's English. He's here in the UK.
Is this Alan Witherden or
Alan Joins?
Brilliant.
Who's done very well previously at other TTS events. So a bit of a gamer, I've heard. He knows what he's about. So we'll see him do quite well. So there we go. There's that grasping plate 6-inch pile.
Yeah. Amazing. We've got some flipped. I think we've got a flipped Chaos Knight in there somewhere as well.
Well, so that's actually a Varangard who also piled in. So all of the heroes currently locked in the fight there, and and they managed to kill 2 more. So
the Death Riders are really on the back foot, aren't they? Maybe they didn't hit as hard as they wanted to. It looks like they're not going to withstand a huge amount more.
No. So I don't think any of them have piled in an attack again. We'll just get our check from our table. So I'm pretty certain not. So no, none of them have, and we've already lost 8 Death Riders. Lost 8 already on the charge. Don't forget they charged. I think it probably would have been much more sensible to have them just hold a line in front of Nagash and never charge it. They could have just screened out in a line that would have given them the next turn.
So keeping at least 6 inches away from the Varangard would have been a good idea, but obviously these Chaos Knights were placed in such a way.
Yeah, so they would have been fine. So if they'd have just sat on that objective 3 inches, put the line of Death Riders in front of it, that would have been a solid play. Whereas now there's still Alan and the Slave Starter's first turn to clear these guys out with the priority roll coming up. But then Nagash could go wild. He's no slouch in combat as well. He wouldn't mind fighting these Varangard, I don't think. I don't think he'd mind blasting them off. So, and those Varangard, there's that clutch 5-up command ability, a 5+ dice roll on that command ability to bring a unit back, which we could see in play as well. That could really change the shape of the game. I've played this list for an entire week, Adam. 5 games in a row, never rolled that 5-up one time. Saddest boy in all the mortal realms I was.
Do you only get one opportunity, or have you got an ability to be able to re-roll it? Or
no, you get one opportunity every time one of those guys die.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he's going to have 3 opportunities this game, basically. Which is
yeah. No, that is.
And it's a cool army, right? Like Chaos having like these big knight-mounted characters leading the charge. They're both very cool armies. They work really well, like how they look.
It's what I would call, so the Chaos Army certainly is what I would call a cinematic list. And I love these sort of lists. They feel quite mixed up. The one thing I'd like to see in there to make it really cinematic is maybe a ranged unit or 2. But then you have got this. No. Yeah, you've got Chaos Sorcerer, but it's only one guy casting spells. But the cinematic list, I like the idea of some cavalry, some infantry, and then you got the leaders as well. That to me is a really nice looking list.
It's really, really good. It's a really pretty list. And who doesn't want to play it? Also, really indicative of the narrative from the Wrath of the Everchosen. So Nagash wasn't there, but they sent a whole bunch of Osiarchs charged into that all points, and then some Varangard and Arcane came and slapped them all back. So I feel like we're reliving that moment right here. Even kind of looks a bit like Party of the All Points sort of level. What's this up here? Is this a deck chair?
That's the lifeguard chair.
It's empty. Cause...
Yeah, but it's the worrying thing, isn't it? Where's the lifeguard?
It's just a mess. Did we hear that the Red Varangard are piled in attack again or not? Oh, so they did.
Ooh. So it looks like we've got 1 Death Rider left on 2 wounds, and we've got 3 left on 3. So that unit isn't long for this world, I don't think.
No, I mean they would not.
Ooh.
Thankfully, they don't have to worry about the battle shock test though, because obviously being Osiarch Bone Reapers, they're immune to battle shock. So those guys are immune to battle shock. They're all good, and we did lose a Chaos Knight to battle shock, which those Varangard are going to be very unimpressed by that. They're going to be like, how dare you? How dare
We're here
you?
pulling a double shift, and you've just legged it. Clocking off, bang on time.
Whereas, he's going to need to, in the next phase, or next turn, he's going to want to run onto that objective, but he can't, because you can't retreat onto the objective. In this one, it's only about hero scoring, and you're not allowed to retreat onto the objectives to score. That's not how you control it. Also, Nagash can't leave that objective, so Nagash has to stay within 3 inches of the objective to score it. And now that he owns it, the only way that it can get taken off him is if he dies, and in the next movement phase, a unit moves on it, or if a unit that's also a hero, which is what these Varangard are, slays him, and then you immediately gain control of it. So it's it's harder than it looks, but if he can just run that unit of Varangard to the top left, and then eventually he'll start scoring there, and then he needs to get Nagash off this really by turn 3, Adam, or it's pretty much all over. Because he's not going to touch Xantos, the Kavalos, sorry, at the bottom. And so it's all about this centre and top objective and being able to get there. And if he can't get there, he just loses, basically. So it's like, it's really hard early play. However, yeah, both players really want this really want this first turn. First priority roll going into turn 2. Because it's a race against time for Alan with the scoring. So Chaos Sorcerer Lord, that's the boldest try ever. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord tried to cast Demonic Power, which is just the boldest play. Yeah, he's like gonna give it a whirl, and Nagash just shut him all the way down.
It's like the idea of Nagash being this massive, he's the god of death, isn't he? Like the idea of him just like patting him on the head, saying, "No."
There's just no way.
Boy.
There's just no way that you're getting it off. So when Nagash is unwounded, he adds +3 to his casting roll and +3 to his unbinding or dispelling. So he's on a natural +3, which is pretty wild. And then he also is able to cast 5 extra spells when he's unwounded, on top of his base amount of spells, which is just hilarious. So he casts 8 per turn. So he's got some real strength there. And not forgetting, he can hand a dust off a load of units as well. Well, not a load of units, a load of models. So there's a lot of output from Nagash still there. He's a beast in combat, and he's got an entire magic phase of output to do.
Yeah. Just because his bodyguard or his front line have all but withered and gone, they're I just moved one. Oops, put him back. Just because his front line have withered and gone, he's still a beast on his own, right? So. This is very much still a scary proposition to try and take down Nagash and make sure it's the right person to have taken him down to capture that point back. Else, like you say, if he only does it in turn 3, you might have lost enough. But it looks like he's sending these Chaos Knights down towards the Liege Kavalos. Maybe just as a distraction.
Well, I think ultimately he both of them are kind of want to buttress against as much as he wants to protect the Kavalos at the back. He also doesn't want those Death Riders to just accidentally womp into some of these Varangard either. Now, these Varangard at the top, I think, ran onto the objective, so they're not going to be able to control the objective. Oh wait, can you run onto the objective but not retreat onto the objective? That's something I need to check. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty. I need to double check that information. I know that you can't.
What is their movement?
Varangard.
Yeah.
Movement base 10. Movement base 10.
So they wouldn't have had to move a huge amount more.
Yeah, 10. Yeah. So yeah, it's the movement 10. So yeah, you can run onto the objective, just not retreat or teleport onto the objective. So it does mean he's going to be able to hold that top objective, which is really, really positive. The Marauders, absolutely. Look at that, Adam. You'd be like, that's a risky charge. I'll never make it. How could I possibly get from there to there? Yeah? And you'd be like, don't worry, you're a Marauder, son. Yeah? It's in the name. Now, one of the most hilarious fighty pieces in the game, this Chaos War Shrine, also eyeing up the charge. For a support piece, not too bad. Not too bad, looking to go into that unit of Death Riders. And those Death Riders also are having to face off here against this unit of Varangard as well. So there's only 3 Death Riders left. If those 3 Death Riders go down, Nagash is unprotected. And he's just looking... He's facing off against a whole force, really. Yeah, so that's going to be very, 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 very good. We're into the charge phase. Here we go. Let us know when the Marauders charge. I want Adam to witness it firsthand. It's so much fun. Oh no, they ran. Okay, no problem. The Marauders ran, so they won't be charging at all. Sorry. So yeah.
So they're just doing up their shoes, right? So they've done a bit of running. They're now just kind of having an energy gel, maybe grabbing some jelly beans, getting ready for the next run. Yeah,
absolutely.
You got to keep the blood sugar up. You got to keep the carbs going. You got to stay fueled, especially if you're a Marauder.
So so just the War Shrine charging. Not forgetting that this unit of Vanguard, they retreated.
Yep.
And then these 5 Chaos Knights, they're charging as well. So they're the only units that are charging. However, the Vanguard, they've retreated. This Vanguard unit have run. And then the Marauders have run. So Alan looking for a big double turn. I've heard Alan is a bit of a poker player of note, actually.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so he's all about risk versus reward. And I feel like he's playing this one pretty strong, ultimately. If you see, he's also kept that Chaos Sorcerer Lord at the back of the board. Not for any other reason than I think ultimately he's looking to do Ocular Visions, which is reroll saves. So I'd be tempted to throw him up, but I guess he would be worried about Nagash just smoting him with some arcane bolts. But this unit of Chaos Knights did fail their charge. Failed it.
Failed it. It's less than 6 inches. 5.4 inches, look.
He's rolled a 4. He's rolled a big 4.
Oh, goodness me.
It's not done it.
It's not very chaosy, is it?
Yeah.
Never
So
mind.
there we go. So it's...
He's going in anyway.
Wait, is it Oracular Visions, not Ocular Visions? I'm going to be very upset about that. Yeah. Hold on. Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Because I've been saying this for a long time. And listen, if you guys want to correct me in the chat about stuff, then let's just go. Because we're a team. It's a collaborative effort, this is.
So I think what we're seeing here is his Chaos Knights maybe had +1 to their charge because he's moved them 5 inches forward and they're just within range. How would he have gotten +1 to his charge? Because if he rolled a 4
from the drummer.
5
From the drummer.
Okay, cool. So there's a drummer on horseback.
Yeah.
That's a tricky job, isn't it?
Yes. What's super cool about this mission, as being pointed out by Math Mallow in the chat, if you play this scenario with Marathi, you can actually hold 2 objectives at once, Adam, and neither of them are killable until turn 3. You literally can't kill them. Nothing you can do.
It's almost like they haven't really thought about that, but it's fine. It's cool.
It's outrageous. So apparently it's Oracular Visions, which has changed my entire life. I must have said Ocular Visions about 1 billion times. So those Oracular Visions, I don't like that. So they're visions of an oracle, I think is what that stands for. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Whereas I went for Ocular because I'm like, Ocular Visions.
Ocular Vision. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I understand where the mistake came from.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Remind me what Mask of Darkness is for the Chaos Sorcerer Lord.
Teleport.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah. Super
Why would a
cool.
Mask of Darkness be a teleport thing?
Huh?
Why would a mask allow you to teleport?
Maybe it surrounds you in like a fog, and then the fog teleports you. That'll be fine.
Okay.
What a big shout out to Darren Lee. Greetings from the Finnish C team on YouTube chat. Well, big up. I'm actually in the Finnish Reserve D team. Most people don't know that, but I'm very excited for that. So the Knights have charged over here, the Chaos Knights. They're not too bad in a fight, the Chaos Knights, but they're not brilliant. They're fine. Like, they're more tanky than they are outputty. You can make them fairly outputty. Corn versions of Chaos Knights with reroll to hit wound can do some genuine damage. They're pretty good in there. And if you roll any 6s to wound, oh no, they're not near the characters, so probably not. So that won't work right now.
Colonel Cabbage is saying Marathi can be killed in round 2 now, as she takes up to 3 per player turn.
But by the end of turn 3.
But per player turn, so if she can take 3...
So 12. So she still doesn't die until the third turn. The second turn, sorry. She would have to die in the second turn, if that makes sense.
First half of the second turn.
No, the last half of the second turn.
Oh,
So
okay.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But if you don't do any damage during turn 1, then you're done. So the four players with the Daughters of Cain army that played last round, and they all won each of their games, unless they got drawn against each other in a mirror match. Probably all taking out this one as well. Ultimately.
Yes, you'd think so, right?
Yeah.
And this comes down to the fact that Marathi can be on. You can have both versions of Marathi now, right?
Yeah.
So you've got the big transformation Snake Lady plus the Sorceress, smaller, but still very powerful.
So we're seeing some piling now. We're going to see the Death Riders trying to pile into the War Shrine and do some damage to the War Shrine. I don't think Alan really cares about that happening in any way, shape, or form. And then we're probably going to see these Varangard who they'll get to pile and attack, and they don't forget they haven't activated their once per game ability to do it again. So they're going to be able to do that twice into that unit. So they're in a really, really solid position ultimately. And then it's going to be all about that priority roll. Could Archeon take out Marathi with Sarah Kings in one turn? No. Her War Scroll has been changed so that you can't do that at all, I don't think. You also can't Hand of Duster. If she takes any of that damage, it just takes out flat 3. Yes, Speckles, we didn't see the Mortal Wound save go on to the Death Riders. So if you're talking about Empower Netherite Shields, we didn't see the shield spell go off on the Death Riders. I don't think. We'll check from our table boss, but I'm not sure if that went off. And don't forget, Adam, when this unit of Death Riders piles in to attack this unit here, piles in to attack the War Shrine. The War Shrine, any 6s to hit, they're going to take some mortal wounds back. It's just a nightmare.
Oh, it looks like that's maybe happened. He's just lost a wound.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's so upsetting having to fight an army and getting hurt in return, which is fun because Nagash does the same thing, right? If you do any mortal wounds to him on a 4+, he ignores them. 6+, you're going to take mortal wounds back. So Nagash has kind of got that in as well. Archeon's got it as well. So I really like this little Safe Starters army. This Safe Starters army is super fun. If you wanted to, again, both of these two armies are if you wanted to collect these armies, I'd say go for it all day. They're super fun. They're really interesting. You'll have a great time. They're wicked models. Ignore the Marauders. And there's only 40 Marauders. Whatever.
You do some conversions using the newer Chaos Warriors, is it? I believe. Is it Chaos Warriors that came out fairly recently? It was a new start collecting box, and there was some in there, and they are beautiful models.
Beautiful, yeah. This is a tip top. Safe Starters army, and it's also tip top
OBR
army. And I would have loved to have seen this OBR army play on a different battle plan because Adam, there's an amazing spell. So like Speckles is saying in the chat, Nagash gets access to all of the spells from the spell lore for the OCR Bone Reapers, and there's some incredible spells in there. Empower Netherite weapons, empower Netherite shields, but one of the most important ones probably is Protection of Nagash, which is a 5-up DPR. But the first time you fail a DPR save from Protection of Nagash, you immediately teleport away, which basically has invented unkillable Nagash.
Yeah,
which is super fun, and it's kind of fun for this scenario as well. But it doesn't really work because he has to stay on the objective. You can't teleport onto the new objective. So, on another battle plan, it would be really fun to see because normally I imagine he would use Nagash to pin units in and then just keep charging with the Knights or the Death Riders and then just keep running away. So hold him in with Nagash and then keep running away. And Nagash himself obviously is just a beast. So over here, the Death Riders are piling and attacking, and the Liege Cavalos is using his ability to give them +1 attack in the combat phase. You can also, for some reason, do that command ability onto Mortek Crawlers, Adam.
Right. Okay.
Which is quite good. Quite good. Not as good as doing it on not as well as doing it on a Flinger from the Spider-Fang Grots, but still not bad. They're kind of comparable. They're about the same.
Oh, the War Shrine. We were measuring up to see if the Chaos Knights were in range of a War Shrine. What does the War Shrine do for the Chaos Knights, please?
6-up DPR. So wholly within 18 inches, and you end up with a 6-up DPR, which is pretty good as well. So another Death Rider has been taken away, Adam.
Wow.
Because they slapped the Nurgle-infested dudes and died.
Is it like whacking a hornet's nest or something? Is that what they're doing right now?
It's exactly
Every time they kill
that.
it, like yes, you've destroyed the nest, but now you're stung.
Yeah, it's like going into an Ebola ward and just slapping everyone and then licking them. That's what it is. Yeah.
Just looking at this, so it does look like Alan is absolutely playing for the double turn, right? Because he's not set himself up for a huge amount for this turn, but if he gets that double turn, he's in place to charge in with his Varangard into Nagash, along with pretty much everything else that wants to have a bit of a go. Because these Death Riders that are in the middle here are probably not long for this world at all.
Not long.
The
for
Marauders. Do we think the Marauders are going to go into Nagash and just try and
I mean,
play with him for a bit?
the output from the Marauders is hilarious.
Yeah.
For a battle line unit that can charge anywhere it wants, their output is just wild. Yeah, 40. It's just crazy. 80 attacks. They've got Ren now, and they have over 20 guys. They're just absolutely great. And actually, take a moment to just have a conversation about just how good the War Scroll battalion is here. It was a 1-drop battalion, so everything that was in this list was in that battalion. Amazing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely everything. It's all Mark Nurgle, so it's got some bonus stuff. So any 6s to hit in close combat coming out of these Varangard, and they were doing damage too. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. They also, and then anytime they've been slapped, they die. Right, and the War Shrine has just killed, I think, the second to last Death Rider. Now look at this. What is
are we
happening
seeing
here?
What?
This is pile in from 6 inches. Because,
even though they retreated?
Even though they retreated. Because so, very much like Sisters of Slaughter. So Sisters of Slaughter have got the same command ability, which effectively means, because the pile in is, if you're within 6 inches, you can pile in. Because you're not charging. You only can't charge, you can't retreat and charge, but these guys aren't retreating and charging. What they're doing is they're running, and then they're piling in 6 inches. So it's like a faux run and charge. And it's so good.
That is really cool. Yeah.
But those guys, unfortunately, they've already activated their once per game ability to pile and attack twice. Otherwise, I'd be like, yeah, this is really, really good. So all 3 of them are pretty good. I think they're -1 to hit, but then they've been given reroll saves. I think that's right. They've been given reroll saves from ocular visions. So, oracular visions. Sorry, gentlemen. Ocular visions. So they're in there, but Nagash is no slouch. He's got 3 up save, he's got 16 wounds, and he'll slap back. He will not mess about. But I think one of the things that they're going to be looking to do is reduce how many spells he does, because the more you slap him, the less he's able to cast spells, which is super useful. You'll bring him down. Different ranks in his spell casting ability, because he gets more spells the less wounded he is, basically. Okay.
And that doesn't affect his auto shutdown a spell thing at all, or is that once per game?
That was
so he has the ability to automatically just stop a spell being cast, even if it was cast.
No, Nagash actually doesn't have that. Nagash doesn't have that. I don't think he does.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty certain he doesn't. So we've already seen, we've already heard that the Varangard not looking to mess around. The 3 Varangard at the top did 5 damage to Nagash straight away. Yeah, and then however their demonic mounts didn't do any damage. Interested to see what Nagash does in the slapback though. So having taken 5 wounds, it has dropped him down 1 tier, so he's only going to be able to cast an additional. So he's lost a spell, which is important. He's got 1 d6 attack with Ren 3, and that Ren 3 is going to be really important because these guys have got 3 up armor save. And then his 5 attacks coming in from Zephet Nabatar, which is I think his stick, do 3 damage apiece. So it's not impossible that Nagash just wipes this unit straight back out. So we'll see. Dealing with one of the major threats as well. And then there's only that unit of Varangard in front of him. So that wouldn't be a bad time for him, really. If he can kill this unit of red Varangard, then he gets the priority. He can take out this unit of blue Varangard. And he's pushed the centre right off. And then as you can see, it's pretty much how this battle plan normally goes, Adam. It's the top and the bottom mean nothing, and it's all about this centre scrap.
It's all about the middle one. Yeah.
Yeah. Quite often. quite often about those. Yes, Nagash can heal, though, obviously, because he can heal himself in the hero phase, so he can heal 3.
Just flat 3. It's not D3. It's not anything. Not buffed
Flat
up in
3.
any way.
He picks
Wow.
5 units, board wide, and heals them a flat 3.
And can he bring models back with that, or does that just heal? Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so we could see some Death Rider down here, and if this final Death Rider in the middle doesn't go down, you could see a couple of those pop back up.
Yes, if this single Death Rider here is alive, he'll be able to put one back into that unit. He'll be able to put one back into this other unit here.
I think he might be, because it looks like this blue Varangard. I think they have piled in already.
But they do have an ability to pile and attack again, which we haven't seen done yet.
Would you be looking to do that if you were in his shoes?
Yeah, I'd want to take him out. Oh, we've seen 2 of the Varangard go. Is the 3rd one going? He just did 9 damage. Oh, don't mess around with the God of Death.
So we've got 4 wounds left on the final Varangard that's toe-to-toe with Nagash.
Well, if the attacks are finished, there might still be some more attacks coming in. So we'll see. There's lots. The slapback, I'm going to call it from now on, was big. Yeah. And if he gets a priority, this is also, don't forget, is the unit that's the general.
Wow, okay.
Okay, he's fine though. The last Varangard's still got 3 wounds left. Got 3 wounds left. And let's not forget that command ability. Let's all keep in mind the command ability that we can see. If this Varangard unit dies and there's a CP left in the pool for Chaos, which there is, on a 5-up, he's going to be able to bring back a unit of 3 Varangard. Now, not the same unit. It's a brand new unit, and you can only bring back 3, but you're not going to complain about getting 3 more Varangard back.
I wouldn't have thought so. Not so much. But he will have lost his general.
He will have lost his general, yeah. He will have lost his general, but that doesn't really matter. And that unit of Varangard that he brings back are still heroes and leaders. Yeah? And what's interesting about the unit that you bring back, yeah, is it's a new unit. So your ability to once per game, pile in an attack again, yeah, right, is reactivated, which is fun. However, going into the priority role, drum roll please. Adam, who are you rooting for? Twitch chat, who are you rooting for?
I've got to go for the guy with the big energy. It's got to be Alan. I'm rooting for Alan on this now.
Okay, you're rooting for Chaos. Twitch chat, who are you rooting for? I want to know. Because I'll tell you right now, the priority has gone, or the priority has gone for Chaos.
Yes. It paid off then. So his setup for the double turn has paid off for him.
Oh, yeah, good point. Stephen AOS, good point. Yeah, the unit that comes back on won't be a leader as of an FAQ that came out very recently. In the summer. Whenever it came out. It doesn't matter. Oh, wait, that's summoned units, though. Is it a summoned unit? It's not. Is that a summoned unit? He's born after game don't start. Isn't it, Stephen AOS? I think it's a summoned unit. It's not and they're not summoned. So,
how does the spell work? Does it that he resummons a new unit is summoned, or another unit?
I'll Google that after. I'll get onto www.tellmeafuckinganswer.com and so it's pretty strong for Chaos. Chaos are in a good spot there. That single Death Rider is good.
Interestingly as well, he didn't choose to pile in and fight twice with this blue unit of Varangard to finish off that one Death Rider.
Let me tell you just what happened in the hero phase. Chaos Sorcerer Lord, again, last time he eyeballed up doing a spell on Nagash. Nagash shut him down. This time he was like, I'm going to do an Arcane Bolt. And he only went and got it off on the Death Rider, yeah? Looking to kill the Death Rider, take him out of the game so that this unit of Varangard could pile into Nagash and take him out. And do you know what? He got it off, and then he just got Deathless Minions, so his 6-up DPR save on the Death Riders just saved it. so not what you were expecting.
Well, you got to have a bit of luck for I've forgotten his name. Who's the other player? Not Alan. Nicholas.
Yeah, Nicholas.
Yeah, so you got to. I'm almost now rooting for Nicholas because I feel like it's a bit more of an uphill battle for him from now on.
It is. It is an uphill battle, absolutely. But those marauders, so look at the Varangard, like they're just getting themselves as safe as possible. These marauders are looking to do all of the damage, and then these Chaos Knights still locked in combat, so I imagine they're going to stay there and they'll womp through here. And then, I mean, he still hasn't pushed Nagash off the center though. The best he can do is kill Nagash, I think. Ultimately, Nagash has taken those 5 wounds, and probably the Marauders will kill him. Probably. But
he won't want to do it with the Marauders, will he? He'll want to do it with one of the units of Varangard if he can possibly somehow get out. But if he's not close enough that if he finishes off in one round of fighting, he can't finish off the...
It doesn't matter, though, because it's only turn 2. If he kills Nagash now, he's only going to be scoring with the Kavalos in the bottom, and then he can just, like, eventually walk onto the objective and smash it out, which is going to
Yeah. So however he takes him down, he really just wants to take down Nagash this turn. And it's, and then it's Leech Kavalos is kind of his only card, and it would be pretty... Oh, we've seen a retreat in the middle here.
Okay. So the Varangard general has retreated because he's going to want to keep that wound free, effectively, knowing he's not going to get to take this off. We've also got an answer as to whether or not the summoned units would be leaders. Thank you very much to Stephen AOS in the chat for going and finding it out for us. So they won't be leaders when they get summoned on. So they won't be able to score on this objective. But this isn't this scenario heroes. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Didn't we discover right at the start that it was heroes or leaders can hold it? Is that what we decided?
We can decide what we like, Adam. It doesn't mean that's the truth. But yeah, so the Marauders are charging. So here's a big play. Colonel Cabbage spotted a really big play in the chat. Really big play from Alan. So an 11-inch charge there from the Marauders. So they must have rolled quite low. A 4 and a 2, and it's an 11-inch charge.
Nice.
My favourite. So the interesting thing here, and Colonel Cabbage has pointed it out, all he has to do with the Marauders, kill Nagash, with the Marauders. Yeah. And then all he's got to do is pile in and move on to the objective with... Oh, no, I think it happens in the movie.
He can't pile in, can he?
He can pile in, because you can always pile in. Oh, he can't pile in if there's no one within 6. Good point. Good point. That's true. That's a good point made there. So, Jabs, if you've all just joined us, I'll catch you up. We're looking at a Staliarch Lords Ossiarch Bone Reaper list with Nagash, 15 Death Riders, 2x5, and a Xantos, versus a Knights of the Empty Throne list with 3x3 Varangard, 40 Marauders, and some Chaos Knights. There's also a War Shrine and a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Turn 1, which is all in a Playtouch Warband, so it's a 1-drop. Turn 1, the 1-drop Playtouch Warband gave the turn away to the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. They ran forward. You ended up with Nagash moving into the centre of the board with the 15 Death Riders who charged into a screening line of Knights with some Varangard behind it. I think a lot of us think that might have been a mistake at this stage and he should have just screened with them. And then in the counterpunch, he lost like 7 of those Death Riders just in the Ossiarch Bone Reaper's turn, which is wild. And then after that, in the Chaos turn, we lost more of the Death Riders, they down to 1. We saw this Varangard unit that's general that's got the artifact, the Grasping Plate, which allows you to pile in 6 inches. They retreated out of combat and then still piled in 6 to do 5 wounds to Nagash. We saw these Marauders run around, and now, as you can see, they've got their charge off into the wounded Nagash. And we also saw this unit of Varangard run into the top right-hand corner to go start scoring points. We're playing Places of Arcane Power, so it's all about the characters that you can see. In the Knights of the Empty Throne, the Varangard unit, of which there are 3, a unit of, there's 2 left in that unit, a unit of 1 there, and a unit of 3 here. They're all heroes and leaders. So that's the state of play as we see now, and there are those Marauders smashing face, which has been super fun. Wargaming Dad, can you not pile in if you charge? You can pile in if you have charged. If that answers the question.
Yeah, I think there's still a bit of dispute as to whether this this one Varangard would be able to pile in to where even if Nagash isn't there. But because he's retreated, he wouldn't be able to anyway. And these three Varangard that are down, the blue rimmed Varangard, are already in combat, so they won't have charged either. So I think there's a bit of impatience to try and get the point taken the second Nagash goes down, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think we need to worry about that. Turn 3, we will see Alan if Nagash goes down to these Marauders. They've got 11 wounds to go. Turn 3 looks like one will be taking that point again. Oh, what's this 12-inch measurement going on?
So what he's doing is because it's the mark of Nurgle from the general, and these Marauders are mark of Nurgle.
Mm-hmm.
What he's looking to do, he's looking to be within wholly within 12 inches. If he's
right.
wholly within 12 inches, any 6s to wound are going to generate damage +1. And there is a lot. It's amazing. It's amazing. Like, you have to play it. Like, a lot of the Khorne Saves the Darkness stuff is very, very like wholly within, moving around sort of shenanigans. It's hard to like make sure you get it all in. However, if you can, you get some pretty wicked bonuses. And I mean, 6s to wound, but like there's a lot of attacks coming out of the Marauders. Like, they're not all going to be in base-to-base contact, and they're not all going to be able to attack. But they are on 25mm bases, which means you can attack in 2 ranks. And then they've got... none of them have flails. I want you to know that, Adam. Not a single human being on Earth has got a flail. They've all got axes and shields. But they've got 2 attacks each. So they're going to be doing really good work. So it's going to be very interesting. A lot of people are talking about in the chat about that cool pile-in. We've been talking about that grasping plate for a while. This Knights of the Empty Throne list is something that we've been talking about a while on the Wargamers show. It's super fun to see it here. I've been talking about this Staliart Lords list. I feel it's a bit rough on Nicholas that he's had to like face off against this in this particular battle plan. I think it's a great list. Don't forget, both these players won their first games. Nicholas against a 1-drop Skaven list full of Plague Monks, and he won that game. Full of Plague Monks, and he won that game.
So he's quite used to killing himself as and when he kills something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, bless him. So he's gone against 2 1-drop armies so far. Both are causing him damage when he attacks them.
Both are chaos as well. This is just the Wrath of the Everchosen. This is just the battle at the All Points, just repeated time and time again. Yeah. I also quite one of the reasons I quite like that book, that narrative in the book as well, is because it gives us we don't have any order involved. We have Nagash trying to like take over the All Points, chaos battering them back. It's quite a fun, like, it's a very evocative, real high fantasy kind of like imagery. Like we're seeing here. This is a little bit lower. This is a god who's responsible for all of the afterlives in a whole realm versus 40 like lads in pants.
Ragtag, yeah. You'd think your money is on the guy who is the Lord of Death, right?
You would.
And that can be anywhere, anytime, but I feel like this might not go.
But Marauders are going to maraud, is the thing that you need to remember. And maraud they will. They love a good maraud. It's actually normally the lowest members of the armies that do so super well. Skinks, Sentinels...
Everyone loves
so look,
underdog,
Adam, here we go. 53
this
attacks.
Is the Marauder by dice.
53 attacks. Hitting on 3s. Yeah, hitting on 3s.
Oh.
So I don't think they have any rerolls with all-out attack. So they've got reroll 1s. So they've rerolled those 1s. There we go. Now, wounding on 4s, but 6s, all of those, look at those, are all damage 2. And they've all got rend 1 for some reason. Who would have thought it all got rend 1? That's unfortunate. So Nagash gets to reroll those 1s. Oh, that's horrific. Oh my god. So this is his 6-up DPR. Okay, so I don't know how many he took there.
I seem to
quite
get
a lot.
Confused. Oh.
10.
So he's taken 10. He's only got 1 wound left, and we've still got the double wound.
We've still got the double wounds left here.
Oh,
Oh dear. So
come on, Nagy.
he's rolled so badly. He's rolled so badly. He's dead. Oh my god. Bye, Nagash. Oh, that is so super sad. That is so super sad. He rolled really bad on the save rolls. That was super unfortunate. But anyway, that's what Marauders do. Adam, I know, you've been keeping track of you've been getting back into Age of Sigmar for the keeping track stuff. This Marauder unit are the worst. They're just rough.
They're the worst, best unit in the game, right?
Yeah. They're just. Oh, they're so terrible. Did you see? He must have given him 10 damage to attacks as well, and he didn't even get them all in. He got 53 attacks out of his potential 80 attacks.
Well, he overkilled him by some 6 or 7 wounds, I think. Looking at that, maybe 8 wounds, 6 or 8 wounds. Oh, wow.
It was a tough old time. Now, good suggestion by Cabbage in the chat there. So this spell portal that we saw previously being taken could easily have been the Chronomantic Cogs instead. If he had had the Chronomantic Cogs set up, he could potentially have he would have had rerollable saves. But maybe he felt like the 3-up rerolling ones would have been good. But it wasn't a 3-up, it was a 4-up rerolling ones. Yeah, 4-up rerolling ones. So that's a tough time. That's why this version in the old, arguably that's probably the main reason we saw the Petrifex change in the when we saw that FAQ at the beginning of the year, where we saw them lose that +1 save, because it was obviously really good on Mortec. It was also really good. It was really good on all of the units inside of the OCR Bone Reapers book. But it was so good on Nagash. A 2-up armor save Nagash, rerolling ones, was just wild, ultimately.
Yeah.
So, Scott B, there's something nice about AOS, the game where literal gods can be killed by grunts. To be honest, if anything, that's the best bit. That's the best bit.
I agree. Anything can kill anything.
Because this unit now, you would go and paint something on their base or give them a mark.
Add some skulls to their bases, right? You'd go and...
Oh, so no, that unit can't pile in because it still has to pile in towards... Oh, no, it did. It piled in towards the closest enemy unit, which was this unit here. This Death Rider. And has he ended up closer, though? That's an argument that they can have, and not me. But, sure. So there you go. He did do the piling. He's piled in with that grasping plate right there. Bosh.
And he's got his butt in there. So is it start of his next movement or end of his next movement phase? He will then own that.
Yes.
So it's not this turn.
I don't think it's this turn. I don't think you can pile in onto it and take it. I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
But if they want to play it that way, that's fine. It's not going to matter. It's only turn 2, and now there's only 1 character on the board.
Now, what are you thinking then? Are we moving the?
It's all over. It's all over. It's the end of the game. The whole game's over.
Yeah,
there's zero. Like Cavalos is like, maybe if I kill that guy. That one Cavalos Death Rider. I'm rooting for him. That Hekatos, he's the Hekatos as well. He's looking to kill this 3 wounds on this Varangard he needs to do, and not die himself in return. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Easy. He's got 2 wounds left. He can do it. Come on.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do it. I mean, the horse. But that was it, really. It was as simple as that. It was. Now, it would have been really, really different if you guys didn't join us before. The 15 Death Riders that he strung out. So I'll just draw this on the screen for you guys. Where Nagash was, he had 15 Death Riders which were here, which he charged here into the line of everything else. And he could have just as easily just left them and not charged them, and it would have given him a whole nother turn with Nagash holding the objective, Nagash having a hero phase, Nagash being able to do combat, and I think that's really the answer. I think no disrespect to Nikolai at all. I don't think he needed to do the charge. He didn't gain anything from doing the charge. He didn't kill anything of any particular note.
Nope.
And so really he could have just kept Nagash alive for as long as possible. in that situation and use the Death Riders for that. Very much like what he did in the bottom with Xantos. I think his plan was to pin him in, but ultimately, like, so much output from those Vanguard. They're 300 points for 3. Like, it's not cheap. They're 100 points a dude for 5 wounds.
You could have a hero each at 100 points.
Pardon me?
You could have a hero at 100 points, right?
You can have a hero.
I don't know why.
You can have it for cheaper if you want to. So someone in the chat, DMT is asking on YouTube. Someone in the chat, could you link me the link for the Hammer Time Discord and be able to get him the information that you might need? So that's it, Adam. How did you feel about that game? Because that's the game over, ladies and gentlemen. Like from a tactical standpoint, that's all over. Let me quickly explain why instead of just like jumping off. So over the next 3 turns, the only hero that can score for the OC is this Liege Cavalos. However, this unit at the top is going to be able to score for the Slaves to Darkness, and then these units in the center will also be able to score. So they'll just keep racking up the points. They're going to be getting plus points for 3 turns. And then, unfortunately, there's nothing that the OCR Bone Reaper's army can do back because they've only got 7 horsey dudes versus an army. So pretty good. So Adam, we're back on screen now. So how did you find the game? What did you think of the armies?
It's great. Really, really interesting. It's a couple of armies I've not seen a huge amount from. I've not seen Slaves to Darkness since they got their recent updates. Ossiarch Bone Reapers are probably one of the newer factions anyway, right? Certainly in terms of models. So is it nice to see them doing really badly? Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Well, both those books came out about the same time. Slaves to Darkness and Ossiarch Bone Reapers. And that Knights of the Empty Throne ability, or army, has really been around for more than a year. Well, more than a year. And it's really only started to grow into prominence in the past 6 months. Ultimately, like Joe Pagano put me onto it last summer. I ran it for I ran it for a week on the TTS when I was doing the breakfast battles, which are returning next week, which is super fun. So like there was loads of cool stuff there ultimately, and now they've really started to pick up in popularity. Not really sure if it's an answer to like meta problems. We're seeing Archaon's a very, very popular pick now, whether it be in Slanesh or Slaves to Darkness, or it doesn't matter what the situation. Archaon's a very, very popular pick, ultimately because he's very good against some of the top meta stuff. Whether or not Knights of the Empty Throne is something that's being taken for anything other than it's just cool. I mean, that pile and attacking ability is really strong. The Nurgle ability for extra damage is super good. There really isn't much. I mean, we didn't see it there. None of the Varangard died, but maybe some of them could die on a 5-up, bring the whole unit back. There's loads of options, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. And do we think TTS is making a difference in terms of you're seeing maybe these armies become more popular because you're not having to build and paint the same unit again and again? Do you think that's making a difference?
I think the other way around. I think it's just inspiring people to try new armies out, which they'll eventually pick up. I think that's the process that we're going to see. Ultimately,
because he had 3 units of Varangard, and Varangard aren't cheap, are they? To buy them in real life, so to be able to test them out here.
Sorry, keep going.
So to test them out here, I wonder if that is going to have an effect on the real life scene when we get back to it.
I think so. I think one of the fascinating things about TTS, again, massive shout out to Owen for running as many of these events as he had, and anyone who has ran these events all around the world, is that there are just outrageous amounts of like meta development. We're all having good conversations. Like the Marathi book's just out, and we're already aware of like her impact in the game and how these things are going. We're having that Archaon conversation. We're having these conversations. That's one of the things that I think is really important. Is that like these TTS events and its coverage. That's why I'm here, sat in this room on my own for the whole day. Is because like we're staying super relevant. We're staying super fresh with the information that's coming out. I feel like we're right on the pulse. We're having conversations about janky lists. If I said to someone who hadn't been into Age of Sigmar for a few months or whatever because of COVID, and that makes sense, and I was just like, yeah, so it's all about Iron Guts. They'd be like, what? What world are you in? I'm like, I don't think you understand. You don't know what you're talking about. Iron Guts of the future. They'll be like, what? But don't forget, Owen's also produced a really unique event as well, Adam. Like, because 6 factions are completely banned from playing in this event. That's why it's called the Fat Middle. It's either the average armies or the underperforming armies. So Lumineth aren't here, they're banned. Seraphon aren't here, they're banned. Idoneth Deepkin aren't here, they're banned. Fireslayers aren't here, they're banned.
Stormcast, obviously.
Stormcast are not banned. They actually won their first game, or at least one of the Stormcast lists did. And then Fireslayers banned, I think I've said that. Nurgle and Tzeentch are banned from this event. So 6 factions banned out of the game to produce the event results that we're seeing, which is quite interesting. Otherwise, it probably would be won by Seraphon. Like, it's likely at this point that Seraphon are going to win the event. So, just the facts.
So just stop them. Yeah. And you're not stopping anybody who, has invested loads of time in their hobby into the Seraphon army. You're not stopping them from coming because they can just go and download a different army, right?
Exactly.
Which is super cool.
I also think it would just be a good. I think it's also generally good for the player base as well. I think it's good for. I think even if you're a very, very competitive player, I think it's super helpful to you to be like, oh, do you know what? There won't be any Seraphon. I'll just take that whack ball list that I wanted to run. Like it's good. I think sometimes there's a palette cleanser. I think it would be an event I would attend. It'd be a great way to get an army out of mothballing, or even just like there's a whole bunch of people with fat middle armies that maybe sometimes feel like they can't compete.
Yeah.
But they're like, I'll go to the event anyway, but I don't think my army can take it out. And in this situation, like if you ran this same event in real life, I think you would have a pretty busy event.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a really cool idea. I didn't quite understand it until you just explained it then, but yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it's not to do with my waistline, although arguably it's also about my waistline.
I think all of us have had a similar New Year, haven't we? Or
we have.
Year.
Well, listen, you guys have been great. Adam, thanks so much for that.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
You guys have been so awesome. So thanks for tuning in for this game. There's a final game to come. I'll be joined by Mr. Dan Unsupervised to do the coverage. Adam, you've been great. Thanks so much for doing the commentary with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks,
Brilliant.
mate.
So really, really appreciate that. And then we're going to be rocking on for our third game. Who's going to take out the tournament? We don't know. I'll give you a kind of when the next round starts, which I think, let me just double check the timing right now for you. It should be at 4 o'clock. So 4 o'clock in 2 hours' time. Oh, wow, nice break. So that was quick. So in 2 hours' time, is that right? Am I doing that right? Yeah, in 2 hours' time, the next round will start, and I'll give you a recap of where all the lists are from the different factions and stuff, what's gone well. Will Daughters of Cain maintain their 100% win rate? Probably because of that scenario. So will we see some Daughters of Cain mirror matches in the future? How did the nuclear Vargulf go? I actually am very interested to see that. So yeah, it's going to be super sweet. Adam, thanks very much. You've been a legend.
Pleasure.
Do you want to do
really
any shout-outs? You want to holler anyone?
No.
I'm just going to holler the Twitch chat. See you guys in 2 hours. See you soon. Wargaming's great. Loads of love.